Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday, June the 26th. Hopefully, I'm not too dark, but I decided it's better to stay out of the sun because it can be quite hot. It's supposed to be about 99 or 100 degrees today. I'm in Lubbock, Texas. So, welcome to everyone for today's show. And hopefully, it's not too windy or breezy because I'm behind a house that I'm staying at here in Lubbock, Texas. And hopefully you guys can hear without there being too much windage. Otherwise I may have to move it a little bit closer. So let me know if you guys can hear my speaking or if it's too windy. And hopefully there's not too many birds are chirping because they're happy. So let me share this with a couple of my groups here, and we'll get started. So let me know, can you hear me? Is it too windy? For those of you that are watching right now, can you hear, or am I drowned out by the wind? Let me know. You can hear just fine. Thank you very much. All right. Good, good, good. Let me share this with a couple of groups here and we'll get started. All righty, that should be good. So welcome everyone. I am in Lubbock, Texas. First time in my life ever being in Lubbock, Texas. So yay. I love going new places. Yesterday, sorry about my phone. It got overheated. I was in College Station and unfortunately the sun got the best of my phone the first time, then I went into the shade and it apparently overheated again. So twice, but fortunately I got done with my message the second time. So anyway, as I'm driving from Houston to Lubbock, which took about 8 hours, I went past a trucking place called Schuman Trucking. So I had, it was spelled the exact same way as my last name, which is kind of cool because you don't see it spelled that way exactly. Oftentimes it's spelled differently. So I saw that first as I'm driving. Then I came past, or I noticed there was a butte, B-U-T-T-E, that I remember when my kids were younger, we went out west to like Idaho. My son was in a karate tournament in Salt Lake City, Utah. We did some visiting up in Idaho of this volcanic place that I guess the astronauts trained at, whatever. So anyway, they had these buttes that were out there. You know, out of nowhere, all of a sudden this like huge thing comes up like a mountain that's flat on top. And so I saw one of those as I'm driving out here. I was like, oh, this is cool. I have not seen a butte for a long time. So I ended up wanting to take a picture of it. So I'm driving by and I noticed that there was a couple of flags, an American flag and there was a Texas flag. So I wanted to get closer enough to that to put that like in the foreground and have the butte in the background. So what I did is I waited until I came closer to the flags and then went ahead and snapped the picture. When I snapped the picture, I noticed afterwards when I looked at the picture that it said Covered S Ranch. And they actually had a cover on top of the S. And then the Lord spoke to me and said, you know, Nelson, I'm covering yourself personally, but I'm also covering your ministry. But you know, S stands for Schuman, is what I was taking that as, and that the Lord had my back, the Lord has my cover, that the enemy hates me. Those that operate in the Jezebel spirit, Leviathan spirit, can be pretty nasty. They don't like to be exposed. They don't like me talking about the truth when they're operating in it. And there's so many people that are in the churches and ministries that operate in that because they had father wounds, they had mother wounds, they were sexually touched inappropriately. And so my ministry is getting them delivered. It's almost like we have to go in covertly into the enemy's camp, you know, and then say, hey, I'm a nice guy, you're going to love me after all when you get delivered. And when people do get delivered, they do, they love me. But up until then, oftentimes that spirit in them hates me, doesn't want me. But the Lord said, I'm covering you, I've got your back, I protect your ministry. And again, I do have minimal amount of negative feedback, but there are times that people are people. So anyways, and those that are in my ministry too. There's people that are certified now. We have 50 people in 6 countries that they also get some spiritual warfare as well, but they see the benefit of this so hugely in the lives of people. Like the woman, Megan Irwin down in Australia. In fact, today I was meeting with a woman here that I'm staying with. Her sister came over to visit today. Her and her husband of the home invited me to stay here because I'm doing ministry tonight here in Lubbock. And her sister came over to visit. And then her sister mentioned that apparently she had a relative of hers that lives down in Australia, and apparently that she's now being connected with Megan Irwin to do some explaining about the spirits and getting delivered and so forth. So how cool is that? The Lord is connecting such a large growth of people that are wanting to get certified. That's weird. Sounds like a cat, but I think it's a bird. Maybe it's a catbird. So anyways, it's kind of neat to see all these connections that are taking place. In fact, the people that I'm staying with, they attended Dominic Herbst, who's the psychologist that I interviewed, who refers a lot of people to my ministry. They attended his encounter meeting they had in Dallas not too long ago, as well as their sister. So I'm like, how funny is this? All these connections are happening, and the ministry is growing and growing and growing rapidly, and it's a blessing to watch this. So I love it. Praise the Lord. All glory goes to the Lord. So then when I got about 20 miles away from Lubbock, I noticed it said that you are now entering Lynn County, Lynn, which is my middle name, Lynn. So the Lord's all over this visit here of ministry, Lubbock, Texas. Tonight we'll be doing deliverance, and then tomorrow we're doing training. So again, for those of you that are in the Lubbock area or within 5 hours of it, I've had people drive 7 hours before. So come on over, and you'll have a great time. Tonight's going to be awesome. You're going to have fun. You're going to see miracles happen. So anyway, today's topic is near and dear to a lot of our hearts because the Lord has shown me this, and I've seen it in my own life. Jezebel will come against those that are anointed. They'll come against those that are anointed who don't have Jezebel, but they'll also come against those, of course, that have Jezebel and try to hold them down. And you think about Elijah. Elijah had to contend with the Jezebel that they named that spirit for, even though it was around prior to her and after, of course. But it's part of the territory. If you are going to get into ministry at all, you're going to have to contend with people that have that. If you're going to get married at all anymore, we're learning that you get married, oftentimes people have Jezebel to some degree, not to the extreme degrees maybe as those that are very high level of the Jezebel spirit, but it happens. And so when you are anointed, you're going to have to contend with other people that have it. And when you get delivered yourself from it, you will have your spiritual eyes open so you can see it in other people. You'll see how they operate, how they act. Some of them can be like your best friends, and they can buddy up with you. And before you know it, they're like you giving them your address, and then all of a sudden they know where you live. Or you can give them your social security number or things like that because they befriend you. Oftentimes they will want to buy that favor. They'll say, hey, I'm going to buy them a Bible. I'm going to buy them some gifts. I'm going to give them money. All that stuff to try to gain your allegiance and trust in them. So we have to be very wise and discerning, which of our new friends are coming into our lives because they have assignments from the enemy to derail our assignments. And we see that all the time. I see it all the time. I have dealt personally that I know of with Jezebels in the workforce. I had 3 bosses that had it. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I just knew that they were controlling, they were micromanagers, they were liars, and looked out for themselves, and they were hard to work for. I didn't know what it was. And then I knew I've had a couple of spouses. My first one had more of the laid back, subtle version, I call it, and I had some of the Jezebel spirit myself, so I can't say that I didn't have it. Most of us have it to some degree till we get delivered. And then my second wife, of course, had the extreme version of it, where I was able to be exposed to both. I could know what a person that was really controlled by that could do, where they could throw knives and glasses and yell and scream and chase you and scar you with their fingernails and lie. But you have to be discerning when you simply have a friend that comes into your life that says, hey, I want to be buddies with you, and they will do everything that they can to essentially derail you from your assignment that you have been called to do in the Lord. Oftentimes what they'll do is they'll study your likes and your dislikes on social media. So they'll become your friend on Facebook, become your friend on whatever you're at, Instagram, Twitter, and they'll be able to study you and say, okay, now they're into, in my case, they could study me and say he likes to work out. He likes to eat fairly healthy. He likes to eat brisket. He likes to eat Cliff Bars in the morning. He likes to go work out at Planet Fitness and LA Fitness, You can learn things from people by studying them, of course, on Facebook, to then know how to play into that, to get you to want to be your friend and so forth. So when you are seeing that, you have to be aware and say, I've got to have my radar on to say, maybe something's over the top. Maybe they're trying to become too hard to become my best friend for some reason. And I'll say this too, I had a guy that was I guess it was in ministry. He was already retired, but he basically wanted me to spend as much time with him as possible. He was telling me he was going to build out this, he had something like 100 and some home churches in the Indianapolis area. And he was trying to brag about all these home churches and how the churches today is just horrible and blah, blah, blah. He said, you need to spend time with me. He wanted me to spend 3 days a week in the mornings having breakfast together and talking about pretty much the same things over and over again. But it was all on the premise of that he was going to promise to pay me, which I needed to get paid so I could get out of debt, and to move forward in ministry. He was going to you're going to be in charge of all these people. We're going to go to Israel together. All these grandiose plans that he was pulling in other people as well from ministries. I'm not sure about this. My son here is there's a lattice. I'm under the lattice right now. So anyway, it sounded so amazing, but wow, I met this guy. He's a multi-millionaire. He's going to take care of all my financial needs, and I can help people in these home churches. It all sounded great, but it was all a lie. And it lasted for like several months, and he's trying to pull in some of my best friends in their ministries. And I'm like, seriously? At first you're thinking this can't be a lie, because who would go to this extent to try to pull me in to be best friends with me? And he would pay oftentimes for my meals. But then I noticed oftentimes he would also bring other people to the table and say, hey, I don't want to rob this blessing from you, so I'm going to let you pay for this. And it was like, a $150 bill to pay for everybody. I'm like, now he never got me to do that because I didn't have the money to pay for that. But he would get other people to do that. They didn't have the money. And I was like, this is awful. So you have to look at the actions of the person and not ignore the red flags that the Holy Spirit's giving you. Because if you don't do that, then you're going to end up getting burned. And they're going to say the right things to you. They're going to sound like they're all good and all loving and all that, but they're not. So you have to oftentimes, when you're spending time with them, and they're going to want a lot of your time, more than what you're able to give them, whether it's in person or whether it's over the phone or texting, you have to discern what is going on here, what is really going on here. So you have to ask the Holy Spirit for discernment and giving you some insight so that you can pick up on it, so you can understand it. I know when I went through it myself, I'm like, Lord, why didn't you tell me though? Why did I have to go through this for several months? This is crazy, Lord. You could have told me that like within the first time I met him. And what he told me was, Nelson, he goes, because you're going to be dealing with these extreme level Jezebels and more as you get larger in ministry, he said there's going to be a lot of people trying to come in to become best friends with you that will have some money, that will try to buy your favor, try to buy your blessing. There's that catbird again. and they're going to try and buy your blessing and your favor and your anointing so that they can be blessed and continue to operate in that spirit. So you have to discern it. So therefore, what you have to do is I'm going to take you through a series of Jezebels where you will have to pick up on it, and each one of them may be a little bit stronger, a little bit wiser, more cunning, more beautiful, because again, there could be women that try to pull me in to become my best friends, and then they have the spirit of Jezebel. I may have to block them and take them out, so I have to discern all this. I cannot be flattered by people and saying, oh my gosh, we really love this about you and this about you and so forth. That's one of the big red flags right there. If you're constantly getting flattered by a man or a woman, but Jezebel, ultimately, they want to get in there good so they can shut down your ministry, so they can confuse. You'll always see a lot of confusion with these people if they're operating in these spirits. And you don't want that. If you have confusion, that's not of the Lord. So if you're constantly setting up times to meet with a person, they change the times, they change the dates, they just string you along. It's like, really? it's just a complete waste of time. So you have to look up for time wasters. But it's par for the course. I really believe that we do have to go through them at a certain level. We have to see them in real life, because there's nothing that's going to shortcut the real life experience. Sorry for the birds there. Real life experience that you go through. You can read it all day long in a book, but until you actually experience it firsthand, then it's not the same thing. So I have to go through things myself, and I'm sure I'm going to be coming up against more people that have Jezebel in larger churches, larger ministries, that are going to try to get me to bless and say, hey, it's a good, just tell everybody that I'm certified, that I'm a good guy and I'm a good woman, when they're not, so I can't be pulled into this. And I've got my radar on all the time when I'm meeting with people, and I don't want to think that they all have that spirit. That's why it's really hard, because oftentimes they're really good at playing you. They're players. So they want to become your best buds or your future wife or your future husband. And so they try to kiss up to you, and you have to discern it. You can't be pulled in by a pretty face or by a handsome face. You have to look at the heart and look at the actions. And the quicker that you can discern that, the quicker you can get them out of your life. Again, let me have them. Pull them over the fence. Throw them over the fence. See, there's a fence right there. Throw them over the fence to me and my ministry, and we will work to get them delivered. Because ultimately the Lord, he knows if they're going to get set free or not. And if they are, then that's what he wants. He wants us all to do that. So, but anyway, understand that if you are especially trying to get yourself stronger in the Lord, you will come into experiences where you'll run into Jezebel, Leviathan spirited people that are sent on assignment by the enemy to confuse you, to drag you down, to hurt you, to cause you pain. And you need to be aware of that. You have to not throw away the red signals and the red flags that the Lord will give you. So I'm going to read a couple Bible verses here. Proverbs 6:12 through 19, New King James Version, says, a worthless person, a wicked man, walks with a perverse mouth. He winks with his eyes, he shuffles his feet, he points with his fingers, perversity is in his heart. He devises evil continually. He sows discord. Therefore, his calamity shall come suddenly. Suddenly he shall be broken without remedy. These 6 things the Lord hates. Yes, 7 are an abomination to him. A proud look. So a proud look is one of the things that God hates. How many people do we know that are prideful? That's the Leviathan spirit. That's one of the things you can pick up on a person pretty quickly. They will say some prideful statements, oftentimes about themselves, or they will put other people down. So a proudful look, a lying tongue. So again, oftentimes they are the masters of liars. They will look at you, they will cry crocodile tears, and they will lie to you straight up. And then you may not want to believe that they're lying. So you have to make sure that you are on to them and not, again, ignore when you realize that they are truly lying. Because who wants to believe a person's a liar? Nobody does. Okay, hands that shed innocent blood. Of course, if they murder somebody, then you better not be friends with them, at least not until they get delivered. So, a heart that devises wicked plans. There's a lot of people that are in the churches, of course, that are Jezebel, Leviathan people that will have a heart to devise wicked plans, to lie about people, to speak lies, to gossip, to destroy a person's reputation. The other thing is feet that are swift in running to evil. So again, look at the friends that they have. If they have any friends. Oftentimes those people that have strong Jezebel, Leviathan won't have many friends because they will burn all these bridges and nobody wants to be a part of that. So you'll see that. They'll have limited friends, especially as they get older. But if they're continually running into a situation that is not pure, that is not godly, that is evil, then stay away from them. A false witness who speaks lies. That would be gossips. Again, there's a lot of them that are out there. Again, you don't want to believe that anyone's going to do that, but they do it. And then the last one is one who sows discord among brethren. Discord, again, would be gossip. So there's a lot of gossiping going on. So that's Proverbs 6:12 through 19. I'm also going to read 2 Corinthians 11:12 through 15. But what I do, I will also continue to do, that I may cut off the opportunity from those who desire an opportunity to be regarded just as we are in the things of which they boast. For such are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for Satan himself transforms himself into an angel of light. Therefore it is... Sorry about that. Somebody just tried to call me from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. So please, people, do not call me when I'm doing Facebook Lives. Okay, it says, and no wonder, for Satan himself transforms himself into an angel of light. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers also transform themselves into ministers of righteousness, whose end will be according to their works. So again, Satan's going to come to you looking all sweet, all nice, all pretty, and try to seduce you into believing that they're good people. We can't fall for that. We have to have our radar up. We have to be aware of this at all times, because if we're not, we'll be sucked in, and before you know it, you've wasted 6 months of your life on a friend that is not intended to change, does not want to change, and he wants to bring you down, or she wants to bring you down and hurt you in your life, hurt you in your ministry, hurt you in your relationships. You know, a lot of people out there that are wanting someone that's pretty if they're a guy, or handsome if they're a girl, and so they look at the face, they look at the body first of all, but what you have to be looking at is the heart and the actions that come out of that heart. You know, they could be in a ministry already, they could be praying in tongues, they could be prophesying, and they could have Jezebel. We see it a lot with people that do that prophesy, that are praying in tongues. They can give you a word, but they're not pure. The Lord's looking for a pure and spotless bride. I'm writing a book about that right now, and the enemy doesn't want me to write it. So again, we have to discern who is pure, who is spotless. That's what our goal is to be. And there's a lot of wounded people out there, obviously, that are in ministries, and the Lord knows who they're going to be in the future. There's some that should not be ministering right now. They should be doing minimal stuff because they're doing more damage. They're operating in those spirits of Jezebel, Leviathan. They're controlling, manipulating. They're trying to come in and to make themselves look good and so forth, and partnering up with ministries that they shouldn't be doing. But it's our part to discern. So what do? You ask the Lord for an increased level of discernment. And then he'll give you dreams, he'll give you visions. Again, he may have you go through a series of several weeks, or maybe even months, with a person that has that spirit that's deceiving you, so that you can be smarter and sharper and wiser the very next time someone comes in to try and do it again to you. You know, I'm pretty discerning of this now. I can tell, you know, and I can be around some people that maybe have some spirits like Jezebel, Leviathan, and I don't trust them. I won't trust them with everything. I won't divulge everything to them. But my goal is to try to help them see it for themselves so that they can get delivered. They can come out and come to the other side. They can climb to the other side of the wall that we have here. So that's what the Lord wants us to do, is to ultimately help people get set free. But again, I don't want you that are watching, because there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this that are dealing with people today that are acting like they're your best friends, and they're not. They're sent there by the enemy to confuse you, to cause you to be in pain, to get you to believe in their lies. And we have to talk about this. We have to be honest. We can't just, you know, I always tease that there's an 800-pound gorilla in every church, that, you know, people don't talk about this. They don't. And in fact, it was funny because on the way here, on my drive here, I was talking to a friend of mine, and as I'm talking, I looked over, and there was a high school that was like right next to the interstate, and it said the home of the gorillas, and they actually had a gorilla as a mascot. And I was like, what? Gorilla as a mascot? I have never heard of that. I have never seen any high school having a gorilla. I'm like, that's pretty interesting. But every church, if they don't talk about this, they do. They have an 800-pound gorilla that's in every church, where people are like, you know what? We don't talk about this because this could offend somebody, so we can't talk about people could actually have demons. I'm like, really? Seriously? But they do. Jesus said that we're supposed to cast them out. And where are the demons going to attack? They're going to attack those that are in the church. They want to keep them as limited as possible. So it's true. So yeah, Jezebel is definitely in every church, unless the pastors are talking about this and taking people through deliverance. You know, if I was a pastor, I would talk about it on a regular basis. Not every Sunday, but I would probably talk about it at least every 3 months, because you're going to always have new people coming in that would have those spirits. Again, I would teach about this on at least every 3-month basis and take people through deliverance. You know, the way that you can do it is such a calm way. You don't have to get people to vomit and do disgusting things. We can take authority like I do it. And some churches I know are actually showing my videos of deliverance to their churches. You know, they can watch it in less than an hour and get delivered. So it's what needs to happen. We need to get pure and spotless before the Lord. And it's important because if you have a friend that's all of a sudden becomes your best friend and you've divulged everything to them, and then you finally start to see, wait a minute, there's some inconsistencies in what they're saying. Wait a minute, I don't think I can trust this person. They're actually kind of a bad person. They're not a good person like I thought they were. Oh my gosh, and now they know exactly where I live. They know exactly my social security number. They know my credit card numbers. And I'll say this, the other day, my son Jordan, who had gotten delivered, it was the first one I ever prayed for to get delivered, and it worked. He changed overnight from a terror to being light, nice, sweet, and loving and kind. Well, he's got my heart now, so he was helping out a person that worked for him that needed some help, and so I gave him his credit card to get him like a free ride, like on Uber. Only it wasn't Uber, it was Lyft, I guess. And this guy, he thought he was helping him out. He was being a nice, good Samaritan to him. The guy took advantage of him, and he started actually using that same credit card on other Lyft trips where he wanted to get taken to. Like he had 15 of these charges of anywhere from $7 to $15 or $20. And fortunately, I'm on my son's account, so I actually caught it in time. I told him about it, and I said, yeah, what took my eye was that your balance had dropped something like $600. And so I go in there and I look, I'm like, what? I go, have you been needing to use Lyft a lot to get places? He's like, no. He goes, but a friend of mine that I gave my credit card to, he ended up using it. I'm like, well, there you go. He actually used it a bunch, and you have to get that money back, hopefully. And so he ended up, his boss actually talked to that boy's mother, and then she apologized and actually had him pay for it and refund it all. So it's been taken care of, which is a miracle in these days. So anyway, my son's just like, yep, I get taken advantage of sometimes, and I try to be nice to people, and I'm like, yep. I go, I do as well. I love people, and sometimes I get taken advantage of, but I'm not going to stress over it. But it's those relationships that become more than just a onesie or twosie timesy. It's ones that want to take your time for months, that you have to really discern, who are they? Who are they underneath that skin? Who are they? Because those Jezebel people will come after those that are Ahabs that they can prey upon to get them to do what they want. And they know that they're nice people, and it's sad that this has to go on, but it is what it is. But as we expose the truth, at least it makes you a little more wiser the next time, and a little smarter the next time. So again, if you don't have your prayer language, I always recommend getting your prayer language, praying in tongues. It gets you stronger in the spirit realm. I pray in tongues every day, and it helps me to get stronger in the spirit so I can discern things better. I'm pretty darn good at discerning things. I can read a person within about a minute when I actually meet them now. I can tell, I can sense if they are, and in fact, you can see it on Facebook where you can see the people's pictures. You can see their eyes, if their eyes are pure and innocent, or if they are seductive and creepy. You can see it in the eyes. They can't hide that. And oftentimes they will put a picture on Facebook where they think that they look all beautiful if they're a woman, but they're actually looking Jezebel. They look that way. They look seductive, like, ooh, look at me, come after me. They want all the guys' attention and stuff. Sorry about the fly there. And then the guys look creepy. Get away. Shoo fly, don't bother me. Get out of here. So anyway, you have to be aware and discerning of all of that. So all that being said, I am here in Lubbock, Texas. It's going to be about 100 degrees today and tomorrow. So if you go outside here, you can get a nice sunburn in about, 5 minutes, and get your eggs cooked on the sidewalk, so that'll be convenient. Maybe I'll make some healthy cookies at 3 o'clock today. And anyway, I'm going to have fun here. We're doing a deliverance tonight at this home at 7 o'clock. The address is 119 Milwaukee Avenue in Lubbock. So come on out and have a good time. In fact, it's funny because the number 19 is always significant to me. The Lord always confirms I'm in the right place at the right time whenever I see a 19 in an address or in if I stay in a hotel, oftentimes it ends in 19 or it's 190 or something like that. So, but tonight we're doing a deliverance at 7 o'clock. Tomorrow night we're doing a training. So come on out tomorrow. We're doing a training and equipping tomorrow night. And then I'll be heading back to College Station this weekend. And then Sunday morning, I'll be at the Cool Church in Houston. That's something that just came about as of Saturday night. So Cool, C-O-O-L, stands for church over or on something, I can't remember. Something life, I think. Sorry about that, I can't remember the acronym, but it's also, they work with a prison ministry too. They have a prison ministry. So anyway, I'll be there at 10 a.m. in Houston. So I'm coming back to Houston, 10 a.m. Sunday morning. And then I'm going to San Antonio, July the 6th, doing a session there. And tonight, I am planning to do, Kat, a Facebook Live tonight so that you can see it and follow through with the deliverance. And then July 6th, I'll be in San Antonio. And then in Canada, I will be in Ontario. And the East Coast, I'm looking to come to actually Tennessee in October. October the 13th, I will be in, I think it's called Henderson, Tennessee. We're actually doing a first ever family reunion deliverance. So how cool is that? How cool is that? How can you remove yourself from relationships like this without causing a fuss? Sometimes you have to cause the fuss. It's not easy to pull away from someone that's got a Jezebel spirit and Leviathan spirit, but you have to do what's best for you and what the Lord's telling you. Because if you don't, you'll end up hurting yourself. So sometimes you have to just say no and love them from the balcony. Love them from afar. So anyway, I'll be going up to Canada July the 11th through the 22nd, and then I'm heading out to Montana. First trip ever to Montana to do ministry. That is the end of July, early August, and then I'm going to Idaho and Wyoming and Washington and Oregon and California and Arizona. So let me know if you guys are out there, you want me to come to your church or come to a home group meeting, and message me. I'm scheduling them now. So I'm making a trip out west, and then I'll come back to Texas through, looks like El Paso in early October, and then I'll be back in Houston probably October the 3rd through the 10th or something, 12th, and then I'll be heading up to Tennessee the 13th. So anyways, there's Bernadette, the reunion lady. Yay! Looking forward to it. Hopefully we can play volleyball. I love volleyball, by the way. So if you want me to invite me to any of your family reunions, out in California or Washington. So anyway, never been here. This is where Texas Tech University is at, the home of the Red Raiders. Formerly, Bobby Knight used to be the basketball coach here. Actually came from IU. I went to Purdue, so Purdue and IU were victims or arch enemies of each other. I went for a walk today on campus. I always like to go on campus walks, so that was cool. Can they have both an Ahab, Jezebel? Yes, they can. Most people have all Jezebel, Ahab, and Leviathan. They just have a stronger Jezebel versus Ahab, or a stronger Ahab versus Jezebel. Where in Montana? Well, right now, we're setting up the venues. It looks like it's going to be in like western Montana. That's a dove. I love doves. It's like in western Montana that I'm going to. I can't remember the name of it. Yep, see? The doves. Everywhere I go, I hear doves. I was on coo, 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 coo. Holy Spirit, doves. All about love. So I was on campus today, Texas Tech, and I ended up hearing doves there. I hear doves wherever I go. It's almost like any time of the day I'm hearing doves too, which is cool. Also, I see butterflies. A lot of people are seeing butterflies, and I see a lot of butterflies too. All righty, but yeah, Jezebel, Leviathan, Ahab, most people have all three of those to some degree, but you will always have a stronger Jezebel or stronger Ahab. You're in northern Colorado. That might be a little too far on this journey for me. Don't you love the doves? Let me see. Don't want to miss all the comments because they're coming in pretty fast here. Let me see. I'll bring it up here. There we go. Don't you love the dove? There we go. Okay, let me see. Oh, I can't see the question that they had before. Oh well. Okay, the white doves are gray. Oh, most of the ones I've seen are gray. Let's see. I've seen a lot of dragonflies. Right now I'm seeing a lot of flies. Shoo fly, get away. Hello, Jen from Coweta, Oklahoma. Yes, if you're a pushover, you are most likely an Ahab, because Ahabs are more pushovers. They want to just get along with people. Sorry about the flies there. All right, well, I think I'm going to let you guys go so I can get back with my day and you can guys get on with your day. So thank you for watching, and again, be discerning. Be aware of those that are spending time with you, and if they're sent there by the enemy, then just say no, pull back, say I gotta go, sorry. I will love you from a distance instead of from closeness. So again, I'll be here tonight at this location doing a deliverance in Lubbock, Texas. Lubbock, if you don't know, is like west-northwest of Dallas. It's a long way. It's an 8-hour drive from Houston. So, all right. Any questions anyone has? I guess I'll answer any questions for a little while. Any questions? Like, why are there birds chirping so loudly here? Any other questions? Cat Kerr. There's a friend of mine that said Cat Kerr was aware of my ministry. I was like, yay. Happy to hear that. Wow. Let me show you what I'm hearing. Very loud birdies here. And they're flying around too. All right. I think I'm going to let you guys go. So.